Was this operation too perfect, too clean, too flawless? Some people would say too Hollywood. Because here's the thing. When people talk about a political extraction, they're not talking about a movie scene. They're talking about chaos, friction, unpredictable variables, and usually a whole lot that goes wrong. So I've got one question for you. Was this really a capture? Or was it a plan? Was this the art of the deal on the world stage? Was this a quiet agreement? Was this a step-aside moment dressed up like a takedown? In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through why I am starting to really rethink some things here. First and foremost, I am not questioning the ability of the United States military. That will never happen. I have seen and done and been a part of things that still blow my damn mind. I still can't believe some of the things that I did on submarines in the United States Navy. So that is not the point of this video. But I ran across a clip from a former United Nations weapons inspector. And the way that he laid it out, there's just so many things here that statistically just can't add up this often and just all come together unless there were some dealings behind closed doors. Because the Delta Force, or whatever operational force that went in and captured, that took Maduro and his wife, they had so much information. Now, I do know that there is a former leader, a co-contributor for Maduro that is held captive here in the United States, and he's starting to reveal some information, a lot of information about who was taking money from Maduro. We're not going to talk about that here. I put that out in a video yesterday with an actual list of names that was given. But what I want to talk about now is actually how much had to be perfectly aligned. And I'm going to play this clip here from a former weapons inspector. I want you to watch this, and then we're going to talk about it.
We went in and we got the bad guy, and it looked very easy because, of course, we're the strongest nation in the world under Donald Trump. And we don't want to dig into how this was so easy, how the CIA probably paid hundreds of millions of dollars directly or indirectly to the political elite, including the military and security forces of Venezuela, to step aside and let us do this staged event, because this was a staged event. You don't go in with 2 troops of Delta Force into a hostile capital city and launch an assault of this nature unless everything was cleared in advance. That's the quickest way to lose 35 Delta troops. No, they went in. It was cleared hot to go in. It was a permissive environment. They got their made-for-TV moment, and then they left. And Donald Trump's going to build on that. But I think what you're going to see is that we have, over the course of the past several months, exploited both the sanctions and the possibility of lifting sanctions and the reality of the oil, of the money that's attached to the flow of oil. And we bought out the political and economic elite of Venezuela, including those who just a week ago were saying that they're standing with Maduro.
And you saw there Scott Ritter. He's got a lot of credibility on the world stage. He's actually had his passport pulled, so that should tell you something right there. They don't want this guy leaving and talking to a whole lot of people. But he brings up so many relevant, open-ended points. And we're just asking questions here, right, for you candidates. But I want to understand how much had to be perfectly aligned for this to happen. There's a lot of reports that back in August of 2025, that the CIA already had people on the ground. They were working out what they call a pattern of life. And this was developed back during Vietnam, whenever they would actually just sit and watch the movements of leaders, of generals, of people on the battlefield. And then they would gather intelligence, a lot of imagery. And imagery is really not that hard to do now because of drones. You fly a drone at 30,000 feet, and you can see license plates. So there was a complete and exact replica built up, a mock house is, I believe, what the word is in the industry, where they build a complete replica. They rehearse entry. They rehearse everything down to, the hinges on the doors. These guys know everything. Whether the door opens in, opens out, what's on the shelf, what's typically on the table. And then apparently 4 days before the raid, all of these planners ran this information by Trump. He approved the operation, but they told him we needed to wait. There was a little bit of cloud cover. We needed less cloud cover. The wind had to be right. And it's the Caribbean, it's the Gulf of America, so things change. Now, we fast forward a little bit to like 2 a.m. on the night of the raid. There were reports of explosions and low-flying aircraft heard in Caracas around that time. The final go order gave them the go-ahead about 11 p.m. I don't know what time zone you're on, but let's just say midnight for shits and giggles. This was Operation Resolve in action. Now, the United States forces arrive at Maduro's compound a little after midnight. There was some things dropped that took out power. So the Delta Force operators are running on night vision goggles. Maybe there were some SEALs. I don't know. SEAL Team Delta 9, whoever it was. There was a helicopter that was hit, but apparently it was remained able to fly. So there was a little bit of anti-aircraft interference, but not much. The helicopters were over the water. They were rolling in. They rappel in, fast rope, drop down. They immediately go into the facility. They know where Maduro is. They know what he's wearing. They know where his wife is. They know what she's wearing. They knew down to the minute of what was happening and what to expect on the inside. Who was in there? Who turned over on Maduro? I don't know if Maduro turned over on himself because he seems a little, I would say what I would call friendly right now in a lot of the images that we're seeing out of New York with the arraignment and the indictments. Was this all a bigger plan? Is this what was put in place for the entire operation to happen? Was this an out for Maduro? He had become hated by his own country, hated by his own people. Many people say that there was going to be something done there for somebody to cash in on this bounty. Maduro has a lot of information. There's a lot of information that I would say the United States government, more importantly, Donald Trump, would really like to know right now, leading into the midterms, specifically who took money from the Maduro regime. Number two, who or what was manipulated in Venezuela during the 2020, let's count all the ballot type of thing. That's something for you to decide. I'm just asking questions here. But this whole thing seems way too perfect, too flawless, too amazing, too Hollywood. And there's already rumors circulating that someone has already bought the film rights to this. Are we going to see another, lone survivor type of movie out of this? Because this seems like, this is Bourne Authority. This is the Bourne Ultimatum. This is the Bourne Identity thrown in with G.I. Joe and James Bond. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you want to believe, but this is some Tom Clancy level shit right here. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you watching. Smash the like and subscribe button. And more importantly, am I way off base for thinking like this? Am I completely out to lunch? The United States military is amazing, but were they too amazing? Were they too good? Were they just too perfect? Because usually when something's too good to be true, there's a little gray area in the truth. I'll see you in the next one.